Greetings, fellow travelers. Welcome on in. This is the RPG Cave, level 185. I am one of your hosts, the level 199 human Dark Lord, Ryan Turford, and I am joined, as always, or I should say once again, by the level 199 Elf Battle Alchemist, Dr. Garret. How's it going, Garret?
It's going good, Ryan. It's been a fortnight.
It has been, yes, because it was all Magic the Gathering all the time last week. Let me tell you what, almost 2 hours of me talking about Magic the Gathering.
It's a lot of card opening. It's like all the Final Fantasy, all the Blitzball cards.
Yeah. Well, speaking of cards, Garret, of course, I wanted to quickly show off something I didn't show off in the last video, and I want to show you this as well because I thought this is pretty cool. So
I bet it's cool.
At the pre-release, they gave us these cool deck boxes as part of the package. And first of all, look at this deck box, Garret.
Oh,
it's
that's
got Garland on it, and then like on the back, like first of all, it's got the Magic the Gathering symbol, but then it's got like the four, Heroes of Light as they're kind of fighting Garland, who's the first boss in the first Final Fantasy. But then I have a special surprise for you, Garret. There's cards in this box that I'm going to show you, and I specifically waited for you to be back on the show before.
Ryan, is it a surprise for me? So, are you gonna give me them? Like, I don't. What's this deal?
I just want to, show
you. Just want to show me these cards?
Yeah,
okay,
of course.
Sounds good.
For example, Lukai Stadium, aka Blitzball Stadium.
Oh boy!
This, of course, is the stadium where they play Blitzball, Garret.
I can tell from the description. Yes.
Yep. And then, of course, we've got Blitzball. This is, of course, the ball from Blitzball.
The ball itself.
Yeah, the ball itself. And then, of course, we've got Titus Blitzball Star. He's kicking a Blitzball.
No, he's definitely kicking a Blitzball underwater. See, the logic behind this freaking sport, it's just unbelievable. Yes,
exactly. Of course, those are obviously the only three cards I wanted to show you, Garret, because they're Blitzball cards, Garret. But also, this Blitzball Stadium card, Garret, is actually, what's funny about this card is that this is actually a Magic the Gathering, like kind of like rewrap card. So it's Blitzball Stadium, but it's a mishmash of Strixhaven Stadium, which Strixhaven, for those that don't know, is the Magic the Gathering realm that they invented. That essentially is like a magical college that people go to. That's supposed to be exactly like Hogwarts. So essentially, it's a Hogwarts card, but skinned with Blitzball, Garret.
Interesting.
Yes.
I don't know why they did it, but they did it.
Why not, right? Like just because you could do something doesn't necessarily mean you should.
Ryan, let's break down the logic right now. I forgot that this thing is underwater.
Yep, it is.
That defies all logic there.
They wear like breathers, of course, to breathe under the water.
I know Final Fantasy is not even close to logic and not close to reality, but this one is a little too far.
Yeah.
Going underwater.
Blitzball is a little weird, especially because
playing soccer.
When you're underwater and you're playing a sport, it's obviously going to be slower paced because stuff moves through the water slower than on land.
Yeah.
So like you kick the ball and it like very slowly moves towards your opponent because it's underwater.
And in the game, don't you need there's a lot of pausing involved, right?
Yeah, because it's you're not actually playing the sport itself. You're almost like it's almost like a real-time strategy game where you're kind of like commanding the players to do things.
Yeah. It was impossible on the Vita, let me tell you.
I can believe it.
Because it's so small. The text is so small.
Yeah. Also, shout out to Fulia, who's been getting into Magic the Gathering, and she says she's playing Magic the Gathering Arena right now.
Nice. Cool. Online. Yeah. I'm telling you, it's pretty accessible.
Yeah.
If you don't want cards everywhere, just play it on your phone. Or
honestly,
whatever.
I know a lot of people that are Final Fantasy fans that are playing the set for the first time this week because the set just came out on Friday on Arena, and like, I know, there were so many people on, Garret, it broke the server. It set an all-time high on Steam concurrent users. It was over like 200,000. It was so much.
I think there was just this one person at Wizards of the Coast, and they're like, we need licensing deals.
Yep.
For brand recognition and sharing. And that is the jackpot with Final Fantasy.
It all started with Walking Dead because the first licensing deal they did was for The Walking Dead, Garret. They did like a limited like 6-card run that you could only buy in like a 30-day time frame of Walking Dead cards. And then it's only gone from there because of how successful it was. But Fulia has actually mentioned she's playing it on her tablet, which is also, again, it's on other devices as well. Also, shout out to Yarden, who says MTG Cave when? I don't know. I don't know. Should I just talk about Magic the Gathering on a weekly basis? I probably could.
You probably could.
There's probably enough to talk about.
I could probably get on board after Avatar: The Last Airbender.
I think that's gonna bring a lot.
When that comes out, that'll break me.
Yeah,
that will seriously break me.
Dude,
it's some good stuff.
I can't wait. But speaking of can't waiting, Garrett, of course, we got to get into the show. I know we had some comments telling us to go a little bit faster to kind of cut out the fluff a little bit. So we're gonna try and do that a little bit here. But of course,
they want to get straight to the meat of it.
They want to get straight into the meat. They like reading from the sacred text, Garrett. Okay.
Apparently.
So, of course, we got to, give a shout out to our brand new Patreon members, Gizmodo16, who joined at the exclusive tier. We shout out to Gizmodo at 16, by the way, because they were on the free trial last week, and then they just stayed. They stayed on the Patreon, Garrett. So
that's super nice.
They were like, hey, there's so much stuff here. Let's just keep going. Let's just keep staying on the Patreon. So shout out to Gizmodo16. Speaking of the free trial, by the way, Benny is also signed up for the free trial this week, which, of course, there's a 7-day free trial over on Patreon. If you're interested in checking out our exclusive content over on Patreon, that 7-day free trial is there for you. And if you like what you hear, you can keep going if you want to, just like Gizmodo did. But
nice. So
shout out to Gizmodo and Benny as well. As for, of course, that Patreon content, Garrett, there's so much Patreon content.
There's so many episodes. I go back and I get tagged because of the Discord channel. Yep. It's like 4 every day instead of like 2. And it's like unlimited content right now.
Well, yesterday was a special day, though, and I'll get into that in a second. So first off, Garrett, speaking of Patreon, your episode of the Pants Patreon podcast for Patrons podcast was the featured episode this week. So people can go check that out.
Go check that out.
Yeah. Because Garrett's on it and you like Garrett. So go check that episode. Bowser's episode hits the feed tomorrow. So if you're interested to hear Bowser answer your questions, make sure to go check that out. I'm sure she's also going to talk about her vacation because she's going on the vacation, I think, next week. So she's going to be gone for a couple of weeks, and I think she's probably going to talk about that a little bit there. Nice. We also got a special episode of the Mini Indie Van starring Magic the Gathering's own Fulia, who was on there talking about Summer Game Fest specifically, all the Summer Game Fest announcements. We also got a second episode of Sweet Hangs this week with Sean and Donnie. When I say second episode, we usually only do Sweet Hangs once a month, but it was special this time around, so we did 2 episodes in a month because of Summer Game Fest.
Yes, all the news coming out.
There was a lot.
So many.
I mean, we have a lot to talk about today too, Garrett, because we're doing news today. And then, of course, yesterday, as I mentioned, was a special day. It was, in fact, Friday the 13th. So, of course, we had to release a special episode of the Real Podcast all about Friday the 13th, Part 4, the final chapter. Sean, Bowser, and I did a spoiler cast, as well as like a spoiler-free review about Friday the 13th, Part 4, the final chapter, so, to celebrate Friday the 13th and Jason's birthday.
Nice.
I mean,
super cool.
Yeah, that movie was on our wheel of movies that we spun, of course, during CPG days that y'all, of course, contributed to. And it made sense to do this now, considering the fact that the next Friday the 13th was in February. So
I hear this episode is kind of crazy. You guys did a lot of discussion.
Yeah, we talked a lot about this movie. This movie is super fun, by the way. If no one's ever seen Friday the 13th Part 4, first of all, you don't need to see the other movies. It does like a recap of the 2 things you need to even know at the beginning of the movie, and then it's just fun. It's just a fun movie to watch. Like, it's fun to just go watch Jason go around and,
kill everyone.
Yeah, yeah. I didn't want to say it that way, but yeah, kind of like that. So, go over to the Patreon, go check that out as well. I think we teased it a little bit. We even teased kind of what the next movie reviews are probably going to be. I think the next movie review, by the way, is probably not going to be a horror one. I think we may be doing Almost Famous, which is one of my favorite movies of all time, coming up soon. So please be excited for that. But without further ado, Garrett, it is now time for you to hop into your 3 things, although I see it's more than 3 things, of course.
It's 4, okay? I don't want to...
Yeah, it's not like 7 or 8 like Sean usually asks for.
It's not like 20 things, so we'll keep it leveled here. Keep it brisk.
I'm gonna even just pin this comment right here while you talk.
We have a lot of news coming up. So first thing, Ryan, I had a crazy dream last night.
Oh?
And I'll keep it very brief. Basically, there was this advertisement. You know, we have airplane flights everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this new way of traveling was actually flying with a tank. And a military tank.
Does the tank have wings? How does it fly?
It has like propulsion, like, you know, little jet engine things below, like hovering. I feel like a Metal Gear Solid type of, you know, mechanism involved. I don't know, to be honest with you. Anyways, it was a full advertisement of that. And then they had this new entertainment thing, like a VR, virtual reality entertainment. Mm-hmm. And then as it was hovering across the ocean, some guy just shouted out, "This looks way more efficient than an airplane ride."
Oh my God. You're right. This is a crazy dream. Why were you just randomly dreaming about this? Riley King asked if Garret is attending the military parade out of nowhere.
Absolutely not. Anyways, that's my crazy dream. I don't know why that happened or how that happened.
Dreams are weird, man. That's kind of
yeah.
not here.
I don't even want to break the logic down behind that. I just leave it be. Okay.
Of course.
All right. Second thing, pretty cool weather down here, Ryan. What's the temperature right now?
Oh, Riley King asked if he missed the weather talk. Clearly, he did not. He did not.
No, he did not. No. It's 12 degrees Celsius right now.
Oh, interesting.
The high is 17.
I want you to know, it's warmer here in Canada than it is where you live.
Yeah. Typically around this time, June, July, it's pretty cold here in the Bay Area. It cools off. Mm-hmm. And people still, it like astonishes people. It shocks people so much when they go here on summer vacation and they get blown by the sea breeze, you know? So, anyways.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's 20 degrees Celsius here today, Garret, and it's supposed to get even hotter. So I'm kind of surprised that it's got like that. But it's also not that weird because, like, I also think about where Fulia lives, where it's just, like, down under, where you would expect it to be hot all the time if you go there in the summer. But it's, like, freezing there right now. It's like Christmas time.
Well, I mean, it makes sense for them. It's like the hemisphere deal, right. You know? The Bay is kind of like a micro climate itself. You go like 20, 30 miles inland and it's like probably similar, if not warmer weather than where you're at. But yeah, around here it's 54 degrees Fahrenheit. Pretty cold.
Yeah. So. Oh, Ron says it's actually 29 degrees Celsius where he is.
Ooh, that's hot. That sounds like the South. So.
Well, I mean, he's in the South, so it makes sense.
Yeah, makes sense. Third thing I got for you, Ryan. My wireless Samsung headphones, it wear and tear over 2 years. Okay. So it's kind of done. All right. I'm using my wife's Apple AirPods now. It works okay. Works pretty well. Anyways, one day I lost my headphone charger in the bus, actually. Not one of the public buses though. It's one of the shuttles that goes to the specific area I go to for work. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh crap, I'm never gonna find the charger ever again. You know, when you drop it somewhere in the middle of a public setting, it's very hard to find it back.
Yeah.
Fortunately, I contacted them. They easily found it, and then the next day they just gave it back to me. So.
Oh, nice.
Very lucky. I'll make sure to be extra cautious.
Yeah.
With this.
Yeah, like anytime anything like that happens, I'm always double checking everything. Like I'm like OCD about checking things.
If I lost it in like the BART or like the public bus, it would have been done. But yeah. But it was a specific shuttle, so thank goodness they were able to grab it. Apple AirPods, they're okay, Yarden. They're okay. Yeah. They serve
they're expensive.
Well, actually, we got these on sale like for $70 or something like that. It's like the older generation, so.
That's like 100 Canadian dollars, Garrett.
Yeah. Oh, you mean 200?
Yeah, well, yeah, that's true, actually. Although, I don't know, sometimes on the conversion rates, we get, like, deals on things. Because, like, there's a game we're going to talk about today that's an $80 game in the States. And normally that would mean it would be, like, a $110 game here in Canada. Because that's what it is for Mario Kart. But it's actually only $99.99 here in Canada. So we're actually, like, getting a discount on the game because of the exchange rate.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right, last thing. I was on Nintendo Shack last weekend. It was a funny setup because they just got their Switch 2s, all three of them, and I did not.
Yeah.
And I think from what I recall, Rebecca and Delvin initially thought I got a Switch 2, or presumed I got a Switch 2. They just never asked me, though. They never... You know,
they just assumed you've been on Nintendo. You used to be a host on Shack. Surely you would buy a Switch 2 on
exactly.
Day, right?
And when I was actually going into the podcast, like right before, I showed off my Steam Deck, like joking around that it's a Switch 2.
Oh my god!
Rebecca totally believed it, and so like I think it was like 20 or 30 minutes into the show, Rebecca's like, "Wait, you don't have a Switch 2? What's wrong with you? Why are you here?" Like, you know, those line of questioning. But yeah, it was.
But you're there because they invited you, though.
They did invite me, presuming I had a Switch 2. So
yeah,
I think everyone had a good laugh, and it was pretty good. I had this, I have this monotone, like low key voice right now.
Yeah.
While they were just shouting at me, so.
Oh my god. ASMR Garrett versus loud Shacker. It's amazing. I love it.
It was amazing. So go check out Nintendo Shack, Switch 2 impressions. Good stuff.
Yeah. I think that was like the only time I haven't listened to Shack in a while, simply because like it was lined up with Summer Game Fest, so I didn't end up watching it. But yeah, Fulia says you and her are no Switch 2 buddies.
Yeah. And I'm glad everyone got a Switch 2. And it's like everyone's so excited. It's actually really cool to hear all the games that are updated. Like, not updated, but the performance of them. Like, I'm hearing line of Nintendo games. Like, okay, it's now stable 30, stable 60 frames, no, like, frame drops or whatever.
Yeah.
Resolution looks good. I really applaud Nintendo, actually, for just making a sequel to the Nintendo Switch 1. And it really feels like it's more of a technical upgrade than I would say any other sequential console before.
Yeah, at least for a while. Like, because like the jump from PS4 to PS5 or Xbox One to Series X, it wasn't like huge. Especially because we had kind of those iterative consoles where it just felt like less of a jump. But you're right. Like, this felt like a really big leap. Like, dude, I booted up Pokemon Scarlet this week.
Oh,
holy crap, that game looks great now. Like, it looks really good. Like, I am like very tempted to just sit down and play that game now, simply because of the fact that it looks and runs so well.
Yeah, it's like a 60 frames type of deal now.
But they even upped the resolution on it too.
That's kind of crazy.
They did both. Like, it actually looks like the textures on the mountains, for example, like still look kind of terrible as an example. But like when I was in battle with my Pokemon, like everything ran so smoothly. Like I wasn't me or my Pokemon weren't like glitching through the floor. Like it's come a long way from when I first played it. When it first released. But I played a couple.
Interesting to hear.
But like I tried a couple other things, like Bayonetta 3 plays way better.
That's what I hear.
But then there's also a game like Metroid Dread, Garrett, where like the load times on Metroid Dread, like the performance was great, but the load times were terrible. Like it would take 30 to 40 seconds to load each new area in Metroid Dread when you took like the elevator, and you have to move around a lot sometimes towards the end of the game. But if you have the game installed on your memory, it loads in like 8 seconds, which is still not super quick, but it's also way faster than it was before.
Way quicker.
Without even them patching it. Like, that's just unpatched. Like, they could even patch it down the line to even fix that even further.
That's pretty nice. And, like, I'm looking forward to the Xenoblade Chronicles patches.
Yeah.
I hear now Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is, no frame dips or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's probably playable. Like it's still probably 30 frames per second, but it's probably at least locked now. Because like I remember that game running at like 15 frames per second sometimes when you'd explore the open world.
I think those upgrades alone is worth it for Switch 2. Just the hearing all the game improvements. Witcher 3, I hear runs great as well. So super cool.
Any of the Warriors games, so Fire Emblem Warriors, Hyrule Warriors, like they all run really good now too. Nice. In fact, like Fire Emblem Warriors 3 Hopes runs at like 60 frames on the console.
Oh, that's so nice. See, and that's a game I have not played. Now I'm just gonna wait.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna wait till I get a Switch 2, and that's when I'm only gonna be really playing on my Switch 1 for now, like Unicorn Overlord.
Yep.
And then Mario and Luigi Brothership. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm sure they'll run better on Switch 2, but it's not like these other games that it's like the dramatic performance upgrade. Yeah. Super cool from hearing impressions.
Although you'll be proud of me, Garrett, the game I'm playing right now is one that you're also playing, and that's Bravely Default on the Switch 2.
Oh, nice.
That game is very pretty on Switch 2.
I bet it's very pretty on Switch 2.
Yeah. It looks great. Like the animated backgrounds look great. The characters
But the load times are instantaneous too.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. So anyways, Garrett.
Yeah. How far are you?
2. Sorry?
How far are you in Bravely Default?
Not very far, because I just haven't had a ton of time to play this week, especially because we had the extra podcast and some other stuff come up. So
it gets really grindy.
Yeah, it
very,
does.
very grindy. Yep. A lot of backtracking. Thank goodness for the difficulty settings. I feel like this is one of the first games that really dialed down the specific difficulty in terms of like money earned, experience, encounter rate. I'm like, wow, that's very nice to have. So anyways.
Yeah, a lot of that quality of life stuff is in the Switch 2 version as well, which is kind of nice as well. The only downside is it's kind of annoying to get to like your sub menu for like building the house, like building the village and some other stuff, because you don't have like the touchscreen. That's true. You kind of have to use it's like those are mapped to some other controls, and it's kind of annoying to do some of that other stuff. But otherwise, the Switch 2 version is pretty good.
You know what's annoying? Only having one person for that building out that freaking map. Yeah. Because there's no one having a 3DS, so we can't tag anyone or anything. Because I initially played this back in 2014. And I remember getting like 50 to 60 villagers in this thing to help you out. Now there's no one around. It's just me. So one.
Oh my God. That's
one person building this whole freaking map.
Whereas like I'm walking around town and there's spirits everywhere that I'm just collecting to then you kind of send it.
Yeah, they fixed that.
Yeah, it goes so quick now.
But
anyways, that's enough about Switch 2, Garrett, because we got a lot to get into. It's now time to read from the sacred texts. Because we, of course, E3 happened this week, of course. Summer Game Fest.
E3 happened, yes.
It's been a week. There's been a lot of stuff now. I will say I didn't comb all of the indie showcases because
there's a lot, dude.
We just only have so much time to talk about stuff on the show today.
There's a lot.
I think most of the announcements here came from either Summer Game Fest itself, like the Summer Game Fest press conference. We'll talk about the stuff that was announced at the State of Play. We'll announce the stuff that was announced on Xbox. And I picked a couple announcements that kind of happened outside of showcases in general that happened this weekend as well.
Sounds good.
So let's kind of get into this. So first off, and we'll spend some time talking about these. If we have a lot to talk about, we'll spend more time. And if we have nothing to talk about, we'll just move on. So I got a lot here. First off, during the PlayStation Showcase, we'll start there because that kind of kicked off the week, Garrett. Final Fantasy Tactics, the Ivalice Chronicles. It's pretty much coming to every console under the sun and PC on September 30th. We've known about this one forever. It was in the NVIDIA leak. We've been waiting for it to finally get announced. It was finally announced. And people were like hoping it was going to be like a bigger, like almost like Final Fantasy VII level remake. But that's not what this is. This is very much them kind of releasing the PS1 game, or I should say the PSP version, the War of the Lions version of the game, as well as like a new like enhanced edition of the game, which gives you some quality life features that they didn't talk about, that I'm sure we'll find about later, as well as some like new kind of graphical things. So what do you think about this announcement? I'm excited for this.
Super cool. Because I've never really played Final Fantasy Tactics. I tried a little bit on my PS Vita, but I didn't really get into it as much. Yeah, this is definitely on my radar. September 30th, that's a hot month.
Yeah.
Like September, October is... I got Borderlands 4. What was the other one that I want to get? There's I want to get Trails in the Sky.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that comes out like the same week.
Yeah, so I don't know. Final Fantasy Tactics, you're in a busy month there, but I'm really glad that they didn't do a full-on remake of this. I'm glad it's the PSP version, just a little bit up-resed. It looks really good, but at the same time, it does look like that's from a PSP or PS1 game. So it actually reminds me a lot of what's the smaller cube-like tile-based RPGs. I forgot. Oh, Into the Breach.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel that energy right there. And I hear the story is fantastic.
Yeah, it's really good.
Tactics.
Especially again, the War of the Lion specific translation, like the PSP one, they did a really good job with it because the original translation on PS1 was not great. So I'm glad they kind of have a new translation here. Also, if you play the enhanced edition, it also has a it's fully voiced now as well, which was not something that happened in the original game. So I'm glad that they're kind of going the extra mile with this game a little bit, and I hope that you're right. I'm glad that they didn't do a remake because what I hope happens with this is the stepping stone to them doing like a new Final Fantasy Tactics. Then if this sells well, but
yeah, sounds good. I also heard was there level locking in this game? I may have heard like a rumbling of that.
Yeah, you can lock levels of your characters in this game if you want to.
Oh, okay. It's like an optional thing.
Yeah, it's not something that's forced on you, especially in the enhanced edition. I don't even know. I think they kind of mentioned in the enhanced edition they're not going to have that in there. So
okay,
yeah.
Super. Okay, cool.
Either way, yeah, super stoked for it. You're right though about the release timing, and in fact, there's multiple games that we're going to talk about today, Garrett, that released like that same week or like
oh my gosh.
So yeah, you're right. Like end of September is filling up pretty quickly. So
yeah, heating up.
Yeah, but then the only other role playing game, Garrett, we got from the State of Play was Nioh 3 was announced. It's a PS5 exclusive. I think it's also coming to PC at some point as well. It's coming early 2026. There's also a time limited demo on PS5. You can go try it right now. In fact, I tried the demo, Garrett, for Nioh 3. Because Nioh and Nioh 2 were games I really liked. And I was like, okay, well, I'll try this one out. And I had a lot of fun with it, honestly. Like, it's a Souls-like game, made by Team Ninja. So it's very similar to something like Sekiro or Dark Souls, but it moves a little bit faster than those games do. Kind of in that patented kind of Team Ninja style because they have games that move pretty quickly, or even something like it's comparable to even something like Stranger in Paradise, Final Fantasy Origin, that old chess knight with Jack Garland who says chaos,
of course,
all the time. But the demo was pretty fun. What was interesting and new this time around with Nioh 3 was that you've always played a samurai in the Nioh games, but this time around. And you've always had like different stances, samurai stances, but this time around you only have like 2 stances to pick from, but then you are able to enter ninja mode. So you're a samurai, but then you can also be a ninja, which then opens up a whole suite of new abilities. When you're kind of in ninja mode, you move much faster, but you're gonna take more damage generally. Your hits aren't going to hit as hard, but you can kind of make up for it by running around the enemies and dodging attacks very easily. So you kind of like pick your play style depending on the enemies that you're fighting against, or honestly, if you just enjoy one play style over the other, you can kind of stick with it. It's not like this. It's a cooldown or anything like that. You can just pick either or kind of as you play through the game, which I thought was really nice. And of course, you've got like these summon abilities that are back because you've got these spiritual creatures that you have that you can kind of interchange that have different abilities, and the enemies were pretty cool to fight against as well. So I had a lot of fun with Nioh 3. This is definitely one that is on my radar because I did like the first 2 games. The one thing that if someone never played the Nioh games before, though, that I will caution you against, these games are like notoriously difficult.
I heard these are one of the harder ones compared to like the overall genre.
For sure.
Yeah. So.
And I'm like more into these versus something like Dark Souls because of the faster pace.
Yes.
Even though they are actually more difficult.
And there's a loop-based like grinding system, not grind, but a loop-based system as well, right?
Yeah. You're earning loot kind of along the way. In fact, in the demo, you earn a lot of loot. And then you actually, if you play through the demo, your save doesn't carry over, but you do get like some extra loot, like when you buy the game when it comes out. So
sounds good.
Yeah, but the demo itself only lasts, I think, until the end of next month, and then it's being taken down. Like it's one of those things where it's like you can't even re-download it. Or I should say, you'll be able to re-download the demo, but the online servers will be turned off, and it won't let you play it because it's an online only game, a demo. So,
get if you have your PS5, go play it. Go try it out.
If you're interested, go try it now while you still can. But those were the two kind of RPGs we got from the State of Play. I was hoping for more, but as you'll kind of see here, a lot of RPGs at the other two showcases that we're going to go through.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So moving on to the Keeleys, the Summer Game Fest showcase, we got Mortal Shell 2 coming to PlayStation 5, Xbox, and PC sometime in 2026. Mortal Shell is another Souls-like game as well.
Yeah, it looked good. It looked improved upon the first one, right?
Yeah, this looked visually a lot cleaner than the first game as well. So, yeah, interested to check that one out. Even though, again, I'm not a huge Soulsborne fan, but I'm hoping for good things with this one.
Yeah, cool.
Next up, a sequel to a game that I also really liked, Code Vein 2 from Bandai Namco, coming to PlayStation 5, Xbox, and PC sometime in 2026 as well. This is like an anime-style Soulsborne, and in fact, this one is actually a lot closer to something like Nioh than Dark Souls or Elden Ring. We're getting moves at a pretty brisk pace, but the monsters themselves are kind of like styled after games like God Eater or some other Bandai Namco games. This game is anime as hell, but I really liked the first one. I thought it was pretty fun. And I think it came out in like 2016, 2017, so it's been a very long time since we've seen a Code Vein game.
Yes. I remember the first one coming out, and a lot of people were really getting into it. So, and then I actually in the trailer, I didn't realize it was going to be Code Vein 2. I thought it was going to be like, oh, this looks like a cool new anime RPG. And then when I saw the title, I was like, oh, I'm surprised actually about that it being Code Vein 2. So
yeah, just from the monster design, like I could tell that this was either Code Vein 2 or another like God Eater game or something like that.
Got it.
I could definitely tell, like, from someone who hasn't played those games, like, you would never tell, right? Like, you would just assume it's, like, some other, like, brand new IP from Bandai Namco.
Cool.
Yeah. Look for it. I'm looking forward to it coming out next year. I'm looking to see more gameplay, see how it plays. But next up, this was a surprising announcement to me, Garrett.
Very surprising.
I never expected, one, that we would get a sequel to this game so soon, and two, that we were getting, like, an MMO spinoff of said game. So... Atomic Heart 2, which was one of the launch window games for Xbox Series X, because it was announced as it was like a Xbox Series X exclusive at one point, and it was like Game Pass. It was like a Game Pass game when it came out.
Yes,
it's coming. It's getting a sequel. It's coming to PC and consoles, quote unquote, at some point. We don't obviously know what it's coming to. It's just coming to something at some point in the future, but. I mean, this game looked pretty cool, Garrett. I was not like super into Atomic Heart 1, but this trailer for the first one, it was a cinematic trailer, but I thought it looked pretty cool.
You know, this was another trailer where I had no idea this was going to be the sequel to another game. It looked very cool. And I remember the first one being like that as well. Like super cinematic, first person shooter, and it's based in Russia. Like a future, like an alternative future of Russia. I hear the first one is not as good, so I'm gonna wait and wait until this and it gets released and then check the reviews. But I'll keep an eye on it. It looked really cool.
Yeah, I think this was one of those games that like a lot of people picked up because it was one of like the newer games on Xbox. Or not only that, I think a lot of people just had downloaded because it was on Game Pass. But I don't know. Again, like you're right. Like I didn't really love the actual aspect of playing the first one. But I'm again, this trailer is pretty cool. So I'm like interested to see what happens here. But you're right. Like
When
it's
was
probably
the
not
release
day one on
date?
this.
So this was February 2023. That's when the first one came out.
Yeah.
Okay.
And this one is just coming out at some point. No release date. No platforms even. They just announced PC and consoles is what it said.
Yeah, I imagine it's just going to be Xbox and PlayStation.
Yeah. I mean, this also could just be a PS 6 or Xbox
Yeah, sure.
Series X2
Whatever.
game, right? Like it's possible that this may not come out for 3 or 4 years.
It looks very cinematic
Yeah.
as well. So,
Yeah.
I'm interested to see more.
Well, Garrett, I'm glad you're interested to see more because they announced a second game that
course
takes
they
place
did.
in the same universe. It's called The Cube. It's an Atomic Heart MMO RPG. It's also coming to quote unquote PC and consoles end quote at some point in the future. And this one I'm just like, I love MMOs, but I'm just like, I don't know if this game ever comes out.
Yeah, was a weird announcement, and the concept is interesting. It's just I don't know if this is going to execute as well as they think it's going to execute.
Yeah.
MMOs are, I mean, you really have to build out the lore for an MMO. And so maybe they have done that, but the concept is a little weird. So for folks who don't know, their idea is that this cube is like a Rubik's Cube in which you flip certain biomes in it together and then mixes around environments based on that. And people are living on this cube or they're doing something on this cube. I'm not quite sure. But they were really touting this, I don't know, this idea around as a novel idea. I'm like, okay, sure. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah. The concept's interesting, but you're right. Like, I don't know how well this is going to work in practice, honestly, as an MMO. As someone who likes MMOs, I'm just like, my alarm bells are ringing. I'm like, I don't know if either A, if this game ever comes out, and B, like how much interest there is really going to be in a Atomic Heart MMO specifically.
Yeah, and Atomic Heart, it's coming from a smaller studio, right?
It is, yeah.
So,
like
we'll
this
see
will
how it
be
goes.
like well after Atomic Heart 2 comes out. Like I'm anticipating this is like a 2030 game.
This is by Munfish Studio. I honestly think it's gonna be. I honestly think they're gonna drop the MMO game, but
Yeah.
It's interesting that they was shown off now at the Keeleys. It was like, okay.
But interesting. Well, speaking of surprises, Garrett, we got a surprise here. I was not expecting this to talk about this type of franchise on a RPG show, but Nicktoons and the Dice of Destiny. It's coming to pretty much everything, every console under the sun, and PC on September 30th. So same day as Final Fantasy Tactics. Garrett, this is a Diablo-style action RPG, loot grindy game, but with Nicktoons characters. So SpongeBob, Rugrats, like all real monsters characters. Like
That's crazy.
That's gonna be a game that exists.
Who's developing it? Do we know?
Let me Google it. I don't think they said it.
Yeah.
Let me check it real quick.
Yeah.
It's probably the same studio that does like all the Nicktoons games, honestly.
That's true. Yeah. But when I saw this trailer, I was like, it looks interesting. You know, of course they have to, get after one of the subgenres and see if it'll fit with the Nicktoons IP. It's like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles type of, because there's like a Diablo-like style or action RPG style like that with the TMNT franchise. So why don't we, transfer it over, propagate it in the Nicktoons IP?
Yeah.
I think that's cool.
Yeah, because it sounds like all the different Nicktoons characters as well are almost like going to be like the character classes from Diablo, where like, SpongeBob they announced is kind of like the paladin. He's like the knight kind of, the warrior kind of character. And then they're going to reveal other characters later that are going to be like other classes. Like you're going to have a wizard that it's probably going to be like one of the, the fairies from Fairly Odd Parents or something. Also, I found the developer, Garrett. It is being developed by Fairplay Labs, who, of course, as I suspected, was the developer behind Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl and All-Star Brawl 2. So, like,
and published by Game Mill Entertainment. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds
But yeah,
about right.
I think it's interesting because, like I said, we don't get too many like other than of course this showcase where we saw a couple of these, but like we don't get too many like Diablo likes anymore. So I love the idea of having like other licensed IPs kind of explore the space a little bit. So and Nicktoons might actually be pretty fun. So especially because I had a lot of fun with stuff like Minecraft Dungeons, which was like another very similar style of game. So I'm interested in this one.
Yeah, me too.
All right, next up, this one, we might blow by this one. This is Seven Deadly Sins Origin. This is coming to PS5, Xbox, and PC in 2025. This, of course, is is an action RPG in the Seven Deadly Sins universe, which, Garrett, if you didn't know, that's an anime that was on Netflix.
And Ryan, this is one of the very rare animes I have watched.
Interesting.
So I'm pretty excited about this one. I really enjoyed that show.
It's a good anime.
It's a pretty good anime.
Yeah.
It definitely follows the anime tropes, but I do like the story of this, so I'll keep a close eye on this game.
Yeah. It's coming out this year, so hopefully it's good. Good. Oh, Yarden asked for an open critic prediction on Nicktoons and the Dice of Destiny. What do we predict that'll get? I think there'll be like a 72.
That's a good one. 72 is a good one. Dang. 67. Okay. That's where I'm going to put it.
Yeah, like that's the type of game that it's like, I think it's going to be mindless fun for like 4 or 5 hours, and then you probably put it down. But
pretty
I don't
much.
Know. Yeah. But, Garrett, it's time to talk about something very exciting. We got the new game from Drinkbox Studios. It's called Blighted. It's coming to PC this year. We don't actually know about any other consoles or anything else. Just PC this year is all they've announced at this point. This, of course, is an action RPG from Drinkbox, the makers of Guacamelee and Nobody Saves the World. Dude, this game looks awesome.
It looks really good. Yeah. So this is a Metroidvania action RPG. That's what it's touted as. Okay. I actually kind of forgot this. And it actually reminds me a lot of it has a Supergiant Games like signature behind it, but it looks like it's in the same universe as Severed.
Yeah. It has like the same art style and a lot of the same creatures. Like the creatures are similar to it. Yeah.
It has that South American, Mexican like death but cartoonish style.
Yeah.
This looks so good.
Yeah.
I honestly think this could be in the Severed universe because it looks so similar. So
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me, but also it's just like it's Drinkbox. Like they have a proven track record, so like this game's gonna be good. Like just by looking at it, it already looks great. But then like knowing that like how they produce these types of games, I'm like that's a game I already expect is gonna be like a 80 or 90 on Metacritic. Or open
easily
this year. Yeah.
Well, it says the release date is 2026 in the Steam page.
Interesting. Because in the I went back and looked at the trailer and it said 2025, but maybe Steam knows something that the trailer doesn't.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But cool, super cool. And it's supported by or funded by partially the Ontario.
Yes.
Government. Super
well,
cool.
I mean, they're located like a 10-minute walk from my workplace. Like they work pretty close to where I work, which is pretty cool. So
super cool.
Yeah, I can't wait for that game, dude. That's like
me
on
too.
my radar. But all right, next up, the final role-playing game we got of Summer Game Fest, Garrett. It's Wu-Tang: Rise of the Receiver. This is an action RPG where you play as the members of the Wu-Tang Clan, and you go out and you collect loot and you do stuff. We haven't really seen any gameplay. We just know that it exists and it's coming to PC at some point.
This was leaked. It was so early, yeah, and it's interesting how it came out. And so it's just a trailer, right? It's just like a opening kind of cinematic thing, no gameplay. Or anything like that. So, all right then. We'll see how it goes. The
Wu-Tang Clan has their own game studio now, and they're the ones developing this game.
So interesting.
Which also indicates to me that there are going to be more Wu-Tang Clan games after this one too. So, I thought that was interesting. I'm just like, it's the first time since like Def Jam Vendetta that we've gotten like a rapper led game like this, or like 50 Cent Blood on the Sand. Like we just don't get games like that anymore. So,
yeah, we'll see how this one goes.
Yeah. All right, so that was all for Summer Game Fest. Again, not a ton of role-playing games that were there. There were also some like, announcements for like in-game events for some free-to-play role-playing games, but I don't want to talk about those.
No, let's not talk about those.
Yeah, as much as I want to talk about, hear about One Punch Man coming to this random Korean MMO, I don't care, honestly. But now it's time to talk about the Xbox Showcase, Garrett, which had
heck yeah.
so many RPG things to talk about here, which I'm excited to talk about. So first off, of course, the one game we knew was going to be there because it had an entire deep dive after the showcase, which I haven't had a chance to watch. We're going to watch it on stream, Garrett, but then we ended up talking about the showcase over it. So we ended up just not really paying attention to it. So I do need to go back and watch the deep dive. But Outer Worlds 2 coming to PS5, Xbox, and PC on October 29th. Got the release date. It's Game Pass Day 1 because obviously it is. But we also found out it is Microsoft's first $80 game in the US.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting to hear. Yeah.
But hype levels for Outer Worlds 2, Garrett. First of all, again, from the trailer itself, since I haven't had a chance to watch the deep dive, trailer looked awesome. It looks exactly like, honestly, I don't need to see any more about that game. I already know from, liking Outer Worlds 1 to the fact that I love Obsidian, like, dude, this is a slam dunk for me.
The trailer looked fantastic, and it's improved in every single way. So it's super neat. I'm one of those people that I liked Outer Worlds 1. I didn't love it per se. I didn't have. I guess it really depends on your experience with the game, because sometimes it could be very fun, the choices and the stuff that you do, and sometimes it's just fine. It's okay. And so that's why I wanted to watch the deep dive, in which I did. And I'm 100% convinced after seeing that deep dive, they thought of everything that they can do to improve the first game, and they magnify it tenfold. And so I'm so sold with the sequel now after watching that deep dive. If anyone's on the fence about Outer Worlds 2, like I was, go watch that deep dive, because they go through a lot of details of like what's improved, what systems they've added. It was actually pretty funny too. I forgot the celebrity's name. He's in Parks and Rec. He's the guy that's super loud or whatever, but he's a gamer. He's like a hardcore gamer. And he was very funny in that deep dive. He was like with the studio, doing some bits here and there. So, but yeah, man, this looks so good. Like this is probably my number one anticipated RPG or game of the year now. Yeah. After that deep dive.
I was gonna say, like, this was a game I was already pretty excited about, anyways. And hearing you just mention that without even watching the deep dive, I'm like, it gets me even more excited. I will also mention, of course, that the main reason I brought up the price point as well is because famously, the Outer Worlds 1 was a short game. Like I beat that game in like 15 hours.
Yeah, it's a 20-hour on average experience.
Yes. So the idea of paying $80 American for this, which again, like this was the game I was alluding to, where we actually may get a price discount in Canada on this because they're only charging us 99 Canadian dollars, which when you do the conversion is actually $10 to $15 lower than what we should be paying for this.
Interesting.
Even then, it's just, I look at that price point and I'm just like, this is an instant reason for me to just sign up for Game Pass for a month, play it, and then unsubscribe. Honestly.
Yeah. If you can do it within a month, then that's what I would do as well. I also hear that people that do that, and then they do that for a month, if you cancel enough time beforehand, you'll get your money back, which is really insane.
Yeah, they give you the Xbox gives you a refund for like the remaining time on your subscription.
Yeah. So anyways, if people want to take advantage of that and you have a PC, not even an Xbox, like go for it and play it for a month and check it out.
Yeah, the only people that have to buy it are just people who just play on PS5.
Yeah,
I guess they're stuck paying for it. But I'm really interested to see that, especially because again, like they have. This is the first game outside of Mario Kart that we've seen kind of do that, but it didn't really affect Mario Kart, but only because it was like included in the bundle for Switch 2. So
I imagine there will be more games, Nintendo games being $80 in the future. I imagine everyone's going to go to that next year. I think the one thing that they really was super interesting was the flaw system that they advertised in the deep dive. So they go through a bunch of different flaws that you can get as your character. You'll get like a benefit, but also a flaw with it. And so I would just, there's a really funny examples in there. I think one was like you can, it's easy to steal something, like super easy, and like you get stuff on discount or whatever. But the flaw is that you have a random chance of automatically stealing something from, like, if you hover over the loot, like if you want to check out the loot or whatever. But like, let's say you're in a town and you're like, oh, I'm gonna hover this loot, and then you automatically steal it, and like the guard just catches you. It has some interesting stuff like that. So yeah,
that's actually really cool. I love that mechanic actually. Like, you're just a kleptomaniac and you can't stop yourself from stealing stuff.
And I think he was the director of gameplay or whatever who was explaining all this. He kept mentioning Fallout New Vegas. I heard that from his mouth 4 times. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. You keep saying that game. And he's like, just like in the Fallout New Vegas, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, oh my gosh. Like,
but they didn't announce Fallout New Vegas, Garrett.
Yeah. The bad knees with the comment. Yes, I remember the bad knees. It was something. Oh yeah. So you can like run pretty fast as you crouch.
Yep.
But sometimes, but if you stand up, like in between that, it'll have that popping sound in your knees, and it'll alert everyone like around. So you cannot stand up if you want to try to sneak around like a certain area or something like that. So,
you just murder everyone first and then you stand up.
Exactly. So
Interesting.
Yeah, a bunch of different flaws in that system. It looks like, you can deliver much different gameplay every time you go through a character. So yeah,
that's cool.
It looks
really
cool.
That'll encourage you to like replay it if the game's not super long.
Yeah.
Cool. Nice. Well, next up, Garrett, we got a brand new trailer for Clockwork Revolution from In Exile. This is their new action RPG shooter game. It kind of looks like BioShock, and it's coming to Xbox and PC in due time, is what the trailer said.
That's interesting.
Yeah. No year, no date, nothing. But it looks, again, just like the kind of the same impression I had from it when I saw the first trailer for this. I was like, oh, that looks pretty far along. Yeah, I'm sure that won't take forever to come out.
It looks super far along.
Yeah.
There's a lot of gameplay in that trailer. So,
they didn't commit to a date or a year this time around, but like, I wouldn't be surprised if this is like an early 2026 game. That's that might just get its release date at like next year's like showcase developer direct, and it's out like the following month, kind of like Avowed was.
I can totally see that with this game. It looks really fun. It gives me serious BioShock Infinite vibes.
Yep.
I think that's the one most closely related game to this, but yeah, I'm very excited to play this game.
Yeah, same.
For sure.
It looks really cool, and good on In Exile, because again, they've always been like really really good storytellers, but I've just never really been into like the combat of Wasteland. But this game looks like it's gonna be fun to play, and it's gonna have like an interesting story with with like almost like a comedic tone to it, because we had some funny characters in the trailer, like the pissed off doll as an example.
Yeah. So cool.
Well, how's that run for your deep dive on Clockwork Revolution? You said earlier in the show, it's here for the Clockwork Revolution deep dive.
Well, I mean, there's not too much to say other than like, I mean, there's a lot of action-oriented gameplay. It again reminds me of BioShock. I'm wondering there's some RPG elements like stats. Like you see the little ticker around, and there's like certain stats you could do. There's sneaking. It looks like there's like a time change effect going on, so you can go in the past, change a certain thing, and it would change the outcome of the future.
Yep. Just like the
type of deal.
hits first-person shooter Singularity on the Xbox 360 guy, where like
100%.
you blow up the blow up the barrel, you rewind time, and then it like pulls the barrel out of the way of the door.
Yeah. So
God, Singularity is a game.
So it was a bunch of mishmash of a lot of that. There were some characters introduced. I just think, I would just wait to like, judge the story of it before we, really getting into the game. So
yeah, for sure.
It was a good showcase.
Next up, Garrett, we have not one but two Square Enix announcements. I was hoping for some new stuff from Square Enix, but actually it's just stuff that's new to Xbox, which I'm glad this stuff is finally on Xbox. First of all, Final Fantasy 16 out on Xbox right now. Finally, you can go play it. There was a shadow drop during the showcase. And it's like, I think it's like $50 for the base game. And then it's like $70 for like the complete edition with all the DLC. So you can kind of.
Those are good prices.
Yeah. And I'm sure it'll go on sale at some point too, because it's Square. But then, coming up this winter, Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade finally comes to Xbox consoles. It's also coming to Switch 2 as well, the same date. It's like just this winter is what they said, but it'll be on both the same day. It looks like.
Is that really how it's spelled out? Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade?
Yep, because it was originally Final Fantasy VII Remake, but then they added the Intergrade after the PS5 version came out.
This is some Kingdom Hearts shit going on. It's just, oh my god.
Yeah, because Intergrade, all that means is that it includes like the Yuffie DLC. So it's like the complete edition of the game. So of course they had to tag a stupid tagline on it.
It's, it's long been awaited for Xbox. It's funny if they didn't do this at all for Xbox. I would have laughed actually, because Final Fantasy VII Integrate is coming to Switch 2. It was announced for Switch 2 beforehand, and everyone's laughing at the Xbox community that they weren't getting it, but looks like they're getting it now.
They just didn't want to announce it until like the showcase, I guess, to make it a bigger deal. But yeah, it looks like they're coming out the same day, sometime this winter. We don't have an exact release date, but again, Final Fantasy 16. If people have never played that game, yes, it's not technically a role-playing game.
Not really an RPG.
But that game is really fun. People should play it.
It's a fun game.
Played it. Yeah. Next up, we got a really interesting new IP. This is The Blood of the Dawnwalker. This is coming to PlayStation 5, Xbox, and PC in 2026. This is a RPG where you play as a vampire. And it's like an action RPG where you're going around and you're fighting dudes and you're sucking blood and you're getting new abilities. Like, it looks pretty cool. It's coming out sometime next year.
Yeah, so it's published by Bandai Namco, which is an interesting one as well. It looks, it reminds me of, what's that one vampire RPG, Vampire,
yeah.
Looks like a mix of that. Looks a little bit more open. It looks fun. I'm just curious. It's developed by Rebel Wolves, which I actually don't know.
They're like a brand new studio. I think this is either their first game or their second game.
Cool. So we'll see how this goes, and if they got a publisher, they got Bandai Namco behind it, then keep an eye out for this game and see how it develops, see how the gameplay goes. It'll be pretty cool. Yeah.
Again, it seemed really interesting, and I love just the unique concept. Where again, like Vampire is like the only other game I can think of that's like this. So, looking forward to seeing more of this game a little bit later on. But next up, Garrett, this one really surprised me. Beast of Reincarnation. This is the new game from Game Freak.
Everyone freaked out.
Coming to PS5, Xbox, and PC in 2026. And this is a Game Pass Day 1 game. So you can play it Day 1. It kind of looks like Monster Hunter, but it's made by Game Freak. And it looks actually like it runs well, and it looks very pretty.
Yeah, it looks very East Asian, like centric focused game, as you mentioned, Monster Hunter like. It's interesting coming from Game Freak. I mean, this isn't, of course there's other games that they develop outside of Pokemon. I forgot off the top of my head, but they weren't that good either. So be cautious about this game. I'm sure it looks great and whatever, but from my experience that the other games that Game Freak has developed is not that good. It's not as good.
We talked about Little Town Hero was great, right?
Little Town Hero is fantastic.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Like the games they develop outside of Pokemon are not always that great. That's why I'm like cautiously interested in this one. But again, it's on Game Pass day one, so
like you just try it out.
You just try it out if you have Game Pass. So that's interesting. But then next up, Garrett, the announcement we were all waiting for, the last kind of announcement I'm pulling from this Xbox showcase, is Persona 4 Revival coming to PlayStation 5, Xbox, and PC at some point in the future. It's Game Pass day one for this one. And all they really showed is like a little bit of like some of the environments, and then of course the kind of like the main character just walking around the town a little bit, and that's it.
This was a weird announcement, Ryan.
Yeah.
This was very weird. This felt like like Xbox reached out to Atlas like, you gotta show something. Like, I know it's really far out, but you gotta show something about this one in our deal, in our announcement. And it felt like Atlas went to an intern. It's like, just make a, I don't know, like a walkthrough, not walkthrough, but like just
walk around the town for 10 seconds and record
just cut it in pre alpha stage, and just put it on. This game looks like it's not coming out for a while.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering, I'm very curious, like, if it's gonna be next year. It could, like, it very much, it may not be.
I have a feeling it is probably actually next year, like late next year, like a fall 2026 game.
Sure. Yeah. They're really deep in Persona 6. I think they're trying to get that out.
They mentioned that on Twitter, because when they announced this, they had like a post that went up alongside Persona 4 Revival's announcement, where they mentioned that they're also like full steam ahead on the next big game, which they'll be announcing soon as well. So it sounds like they're kind of like the team that, after that did Persona 3 Reload, after they finished that and kind of got that out the door, like they were kind of full speed ahead on this one. Well, like the Metaphor team is kind of working on Persona 6.
I just wish it was just a logo, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
It looked like a mod. Like, no joke. This looked like a team of 5 people went to Unreal Engine 5 and just copy and paste some stuff. It's like, that's Persona 4 Revival. That's what it felt like to me. So
honestly, like looking at it and kind of comparison to the look of walking around town in Persona 3, like honestly, I think it looks very similar to Persona.
It looks similar, yeah. It was very quick. Like, it's like, here's the town, here's the character.
Especially if you go watch the trailer that's not from the stream. Like if you just go watch the trailer on the Xbox website, it kind of it honestly just looks like Persona 3 Reload, like the same engine and everything.
Okay. Cool.
So
sounds good.
I'm expecting it to look like that essentially when it comes out. So yeah. Either way, I'm excited. It's Persona 4 and in like a new style. So we know it'll be fun. So of course you already
Game Pass day one, baby. Game Pass. That's and I we're gonna get into it, but I predicted not gonna be on Game Pass, but I was wrong.
Yep. Yeah, you did. You also mentioned some other stuff that also was wrong too, but we'll get into that a little bit later. Actually, we might not. We might skip over that, and I'll mention why in a second. But the final announcement I wanted to talk about was not at any showcase, but just came out over the course of the weekend. They just announced it on like Sunday.
Of course they did.
Atelier. I'm going to butcher the name of this. Atelier Rezentrier.
Rezelleriana.
Thank you. The Red Alchemist and the White Guardian is coming to PlayStation 5, Switch, and PC on September 26th.
Not Xbox.
Not Xbox, but everything else. Well, not even Switch 2 either. Just normal Switch.
Just normal Switch.
Yeah. The brand new Atelier game. I mean, obviously we talked about it on the show before. It's not, it's going to be like Yumiya. It's going to be like, but closer to like one of the older Atelier games, I think. Honestly.
Yeah. Was this? This is one of the others. I guess you can say side games.
Yeah, it's like a spin-off game, right?
I
think we've talked about it on the show a couple times.
It's not mobile. It's like they did like a double announcement. I remember it was Atelier Yumiya, and then it was this one.
Yeah, they announced them like in the same week.
And it's set to launch September 26th.
Yep.
What a month.
So yeah, like the same, basically the same week as Tactics and Nicktoons and this. Yeah. And then a week before Borderlands 4. It's going to go well, I guess. Again, this is the type of game where it's like the Atelier fans who are really into Atelier and always play those games day one will probably pick this one up. And everyone else will probably just
I think it'll do fine. It'll just be like, here it is.
Yeah. It's also a side spin-off game. Like, it's obviously not going to do as well as Yumiya did anyways. So, and no one, I don't even think they're expecting that.
They do so many games, man. So many Atelier games. It's crazy. So
yeah. Cool.
Well,
that was all the announcements at Summer Game Fest. We're going to do like an overview of this in just a second, but I want to bring up our predictions, Garrett, because we made predictions 2 weeks ago for Summer Game Fest. And I'm going to actually postpone. I put them on the document here. But I'm going to, I think, postpone reading them because we had multiple predictions that were assuming that Nintendo would announce things.
Yeah.
And obviously Nintendo didn't announce things. So
yeah.
We're going to kind of put a pin on that. We'll revisit that in a future episode.
Sounds good.
But spoilers, like Garrett, you had a couple of announcements talking about Persona 4. I mentioned some stuff about Vanillaware announcing a game at Xbox, which obviously didn't happen. So... we had some stuff that didn't happen here, but a lot of stuff had to do with Nintendo. So we'll kind of put a pin in it until Nintendo does their next Direct. But let's party up, Garrett. Let's hear from the NPCs, the non-podcast characters. We got one final question to round out the show that comes to us from the good sir, who said, so many incredible role-playing games that were showed off during this past Summer Game Fest weekend, but alas, another event without the announcement of my beloved Dark Cloud 3. Good sir, I don't. We're going to be waiting a while. I don't know if they ever go back to Dark Cloud.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Level 5, they just did Final Fantasy I don't know what they're going to do next, to be honest with you. They go wacky. They go a little crazy now.
They don't revisit, though, any of their older IPs generally, though. That's the thing. They have a bunch of old IPs that they developed during PS2 and PS3, but they've just never gone back to any of them. So... sorry to, of course, just dump cold water on you, good sir, but I had to at least, say that a little bit. But good sir has a couple questions for us. So first off, what RPG were you hoping to hear more about that was MIA? So Garrett, what was a role-playing game at Summer Game Fest that you were like hoping to hear more about, but you didn't hear anything about?
It's interesting that we didn't hear too much about Crimson Desert.
Yeah, actually, that was always been like a staple at the Keighley shows, but like it was nowhere to be found here.
It was nowhere to be found in the presentation, but it was actually shown and demoed out to a bunch of media people. So I've been listening and hearing a lot of good things about this game. I just wish they showed off gameplay or showed off something, because I hear it's pretty cool. I hear it's like a big open world and very versatile, like Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, but it has that, RPG kind of slant to it, like Skyrim or Witcher. Or people, I heard one person said, this is what I want Dragon's Dogma 2 to be, that type of quote. So I'm like, I'm pretty intrigued about this game. So yeah,
that's an interesting one. Yeah, because you're right. Until you said that, I completely forgot that you're right. We didn't really see it this weekend, but
we didn't see anything in the public, but it was just shown off to media people during the Summer Games Fest. Yeah, so
cool. Yeah, because I'm sure there will probably be impression pieces and stuff about that. Yeah, the one that I was thinking about honestly was Fable.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Especially because I think that's probably like an early 2026 game. At least I'm hoping it's an early 2026 game. So I would have loved to hear more about Fable. That was one I was kind of expecting to see here at some point on Xbox. Even just a trailer with a release date on it. But if there's a release date trailer, I think they only put release dates on stuff at Xbox anyways that they're expecting to come out this year. So I shouldn't be too surprised by that. But and honestly, the other one is Persona 4 Revival, as you kind of touched on, where it's just we heard about it, but tell me more. Tell me more.
Yeah, tell me more. I think we know what this game. I'm curious how they're gonna do the ending of Persona of this one.
Yeah.
Because there's too many pitfalls, I think, of Persona 4 itself, and I'm sure they're going to try to streamline it a little bit more in this game. So
yeah, and the only actually one I'm going to bring up from this question as well is I was hoping we would see the next like Tales of remake or remaster, because we knew like they were doing the Tales of remaster project, and we got an announcement of it, Garrett. The announcement of an announcement that the next Tales of remastered game we'll find out this summer. So
sounds good.
Which is weird because they announced it during Summer Game Fest that an announcement of an announcement. I'm just like, why are you even announcing this?
Yeah, I know.
You should just wait.
Super weird.
Yeah, but Good Sir follows up by says, what are your 3 standout role-playing games from Summer Game Fest weekend? So we've got the list here, Garrett, of role-playing games from Summer Game Fest. So like, what are our standout role-playing games that we saw here? So for me, my top 3 from this list would be Final Fantasy Tactics, the Ivalice Chronicles. Super excited about that. I would say Blighted from Drinkbox, which I'm sure we're probably going to be, samesies on that one. And then the other one, it's a toss-up between Outer Worlds 2 and Neo 3. I'm really interested in both those games. So, you know what? I'm going to say for difference sake, Garrett, I'll say Neo 3.
Okay. Sounds
good. What about you?
Yeah, same thing, Blighted. I'm very excited to get into that game. It looks super fun.
Yeah.
And I love Drinkbox a lot.
Honestly, I think that's probably like one of, if not the most promising role-playing game from this entire...
Yeah, 100%. So Blighted is in there. I definitely the Outer Worlds 2 for me. I think it really turned around for me after watching the deep dive. They were doing IGN first, coverage beforehand too, and even from there, it was looking pretty good. Like they were showing off new, different things. They totally convinced me to be back on board with Outer Worlds 2. And then my number 3 is gonna have to be Clockwork Revolution because it looks so good presentation wise every time we see it, and I'm thinking it's coming out soon, as you said, next year. It looks like a next year game.
Like I think it's gonna slot into that February slot that Avowed had this year. That's what I'm thinking for this game. I think it's like the perfect window for it.
So, those are my 3 standout RPGs.
Nice. Okay. And then let me go back down here. Of course, Good Sir follows up by saying, mine, of course, were all indie related. I feel like everyone is going to mention Blighted, so let's call that an honorable mention for me. 3 of my other standouts were Dosa Divas, The Bureau of Fantastical and Arcane Affairs, and The Great Coffee Caper.
I have The Great Coffee Caper and Dosa Divas in my wish list, my Steam wish list. I remember Dosa Divas looking dope, dude. It's I think it's a turn-based RPG. Yeah, it's a turn-based RPG. Very cool style, for sure. So, anyways.
Nice. Well, there you go. That is all of Good Sir's picks, and those are our picks, and I think that's going to do it for today's episode of the RPG Cave. But before we go, of course, we got to thank all of our patrons. We're at patreon.com/carpoolgaming, starting with our ultimate producers, Jonathan Brown, the man behind the music on the Xbox Drive. You can find all of his music over at his Linktree, linktr.ee/pme.jib. Of course, you can also search Purple Monkey Entertainment or PME in your favorite audio service of choice. And also Technical Michael, who says, whether you're Kevesi or Agnian, you're a Xenobabe at heart. Links to all of our ultimate producers can always be found in the description of our podcast, so make sure to support them because they support us and they're really awesome. Our platinum producers, Kiku, Peje, the Captain and Tim Paullin, and our gold members, Adam K, Anna, Awesome Dave 1337, Bradmore, Brian Reese, Cecily Carrozza, Dan and Luma, Dannohh, Emily O'Kelly, John 32, Laura, Ligerwoods 330, Mr. Giggles, OldMrFrump, Patrice Mallette, and Stephen Keller. Huge thank you once again to all of our patrons over at patreon.com/carpoolgaming. If you want to hop in the car with us, head over there, choose the tier that's right for you. And now, Garrett, plugs go.
You can follow me on Blue Sky at Blind Explosion. So find me in the Discord. I read every single message, unless you cross it out. I'm not getting into spoiler territory or anything like that. So if you blind it, I will not open it, and I will not read that message.
Not even for a game that you have played, Garrett?
No, I think every time I see like a like a spoiled thing or whatever. It's just like, okay, I'm not meant to open this at all. And it's just kind of a thing in my mind that I probably could read it, but I'm not going to take that chance at all. So you can also find me on Backlogged at Blind Explosion. I still haven't put my Blueprints review on, but I've been delaying it. So I've been really into Clair Obscur. I think I'll be done before I leave for vacation. So
yeah, it's one of those games you probably can't bring with you. I guess on the Steam Deck you probably could, but
yeah, I wouldn't even. I'm not gonna bring my Steam Deck is a little too big, for that type of trip. So
well, it's because you're gonna be walking around a lot and stuff on your vacation. So yeah, you probably don't want to. But cool, man. Well, as for me, you can always find me in the Discord at Ryan Turford, and I'm not on social media, but I'm in the Discord if you want to say hello. I'm also on backlog.com at Ryan Turford on there as well. I'm also on Letterboxd at Ryan Turford as well, where you can see such wonderful reviews as my review of Screamers 2 The Hunting, Machete Kills, Fear.com, and many more, wonderful chestnuts.
He had the horror bug, apparently.
I mean, I always do. Machete Kills isn't really a horror movie.
Oh, okay.
That's an action movie with Danny Trejo, and he just murders everyone in that movie.
Nice.
But, yeah, it's very weird. So for Garrett Bland, I am Ryan Turford. This has been the 185th level of the RPG Cave. Only 15 more levels until
episodes.
200. Wow. I mean, God, that's going to be in like 3.5 months. We'll be there.
Yeah.
And we're out.
Bye-bye.